All right, hockey fans, welcome into the Mattamy Center as we get you set here for a special edition show. It's the 2019 Canadian National Blind Hockey Tournament preview show. My name's Nico Cardarelli, joined alongside Luca DeMontis. We are so excited to be here, coming to you live tonight from the Mattamy Athletic Center. Luca, we've got a great weekend of hockey ahead of us.
We've got a great weekend. We've got a busy weekend, but nonetheless, it's going to be a fun time for everybody here for sure.
Well, we've got a really jam-packed weekend coming up here, as we've got, what is it, I think 18 games over 6 days?
Yeah.
It's 3 days. What am I saying? I wish we had 6 days to deal with these games.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's the biggest we've ever had, and you know what? I think it's a testament to the sport. I think it's a testament to how dedicated these athletes are for this, right? And the numbers speak for itself. It's the biggest group we've ever had.
Well, we're going to highlight some of those key players. We're really going to focus here tonight on the Select Series. Of course, there's 5 different divisions going on here this weekend. All the action streaming live on our Canadian Blind Hockey YouTube channel. But we're really going to spend the majority of tonight's show focusing in on the Select Series. And I think for good reason. We've got the best blind hockey players on the planet facing off here this weekend in Toronto.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. We do got a great group of players that are going to represent Canadian blind hockey with a lot of pride. And I think we've chose a group that we could literally put our trust in.
Well, let's have a look at the upcoming Select Series schedule, because it's going to be a jam-packed series for those 3 teams. Of course, we've got Team Canada East, and we're going to have their head coach, Paul Cairns, joining us in just a little bit. We've also got Team Canada West on the ice right now for practice, and of course, Team USA. 3 really good teams, some incredible players top to bottom, and here you can get a look at their weekend series schedule.
Yeah, there's a lot of hockey, and the good thing about that is I know these athletes are ready for it. So the excitement's been building. It's coming to the point now where it's time to let the magic happen. Right? The Team USA has actually just arrived.
Yeah.
So I can see they're walking in as a group right now, which is cool to see, and they're also excited to be here. And I know the feeling, because when we headed down to the States as Team Canada, we were excited to be there. So the feeling is definitely mutual, and we're just welcoming them with open arms, and we hope they have a great time while they're here in Toronto.
So Luca, really, before we get into the teams, I think it's important that we talk a little bit about your role within Canadian blind hockey and here this weekend. Can you expand to the viewers what exactly your role is with Canadian blind hockey?
So I'm the program manager of Canadian Blind Hockey. I've got the thrill and the joy of putting on programming across the country, and you know, myself and Matt Morrow, our executive director, we're a team, right? And I think that's the best way to put it. You know what I mean? Between both of us, we'll get the job done, and we work very closely. There's never a day that doesn't go by where we are not in constant communication, and especially leading up to this tournament. We've been talking about every little thing just to make sure we've got all the bases covered. But yeah, I've got that incredible role, and you know, it's new. I was actually promoted to it this October. Yeah. So it's something new. It's something I love. Aside from that, I'm also the assistant tournament director of this tournament. But you know what? Those are titles. At the end of the day, it's all about getting people on the ice, youth, children, adults, to play the game that we love, blind hockey. So anything that I could do to get more numbers on the ice and to get these athletes having fun and playing this wonderful game that we are about to witness this weekend, that's what it's all about.
Well, I can say firsthand you've done a pretty amazing job helping to grow the program, the Learn to Skate, the Tri-Blind hockey programs that you help facilitate across the province, across the country. It's pretty incredible work you guys are doing behind the scenes. So definitely kudos to you and Matt and
thank you very much.
Involved there.
For sure, thank you.
You know, before, again, we'll get into some of the player profiles. I spent a lot of time working on these. I'm very proud of them, so I do want to get to them. But, you know, you touched on Pittsburgh. I want to ask you a little bit about Pittsburgh.
Sure.
Can you elaborate on that experience? How special it was for you?
Oh, it was extremely special. Like, it's been about a 10-year journey, right? So to see where we've come in 10 years, I'm extremely excited to see where we go in the next 10 years. Right. However, there's been a lot of hard work, right? A lot of hard work behind the scenes to make something like Pittsburgh and the first ever International Blind Ice Hockey Series happen, right? But it happened. We came home successful. Even the Americans were very successful. You know what I mean? Fielding a team and putting a team together at that level does not go unnoticed, right? They've got a great coaching staff. They've got a couple players who are great to watch. Weekend that flew by, and it took us a long time for it to kind of happen. You know, the guys, they worked their tail off to get ready for that weekend, right? From a training camp in Vancouver to everybody coming to Toronto a couple days before and training in Toronto and then heading down to Pittsburgh as a team. One thing I could really say is myself, the coaching staff, the board of directors, the management team, we chose a team, but before we knew it, we developed a family, right? And these guys are still in constant communication. They've got a Facebook chat that is never silent. So sometimes I got to put that notification on silent because it just blows up. But they're a close group. They're a great group of guys that are there for each other. They've got each other's back, right? So it's cool to see, and it's definitely incredible to be a part of it.
Well, we are going to focus on the Select Series. Before we get into that, I want to apologize if you're experiencing any technical difficulties, maybe some audio problems. We are working on that technology when you need it most.
I'm probably talking too quiet here. It's probably me.
You're doing a great job. I think you're doing a bang-up job, and I appreciate you.
Thanks, Nico. Look at this. Oh, buddy. Anytime and anything for you.
So I do want to get into the Team Canada East roster.
Yeah.
And I want to start with a player that I think really speaks to the legacy of the work you guys have done over the years and his progression and a little bit about his story. So let's focus in on Team Canada East, and let's start with Alec Angus McEachern from Nauvoo, Nova Scotia. Tell us a little bit about Alec.
He's the poster boy. I remember when we first met Alec Angus in Halifax in 2011, and it was probably the only time I had to look down to talk to him, just for the fact of his height, right? And now he towers over us, and you know what I mean? Watching this kid grow. This kid is a definition of a role model to every child and youth in our programs, right? He's hardworking, comes from a great family. He is just the epitome of what we need and what we want to develop in this program, right? He doesn't believe it. He might not even know it, and it's hard for him to accept sometimes, but he is a true role model to thousands of kids now across this country.
You know, that's a really good point, because I think his story really speaks to a lot of kids, and this is the second year here at the tournament where we're featuring that children's division, and now they know that I can actually make the national team one day. And
that's part of the growth, right? We want to be able to grow and develop our players from that children division, right? Because Alec Angus, he's one of them, and it's proof.
Well, we go from one of our youngest players to one of our more senior players here.
Frankie boy. Definitely one of the senior players, but I'll tell you, you would not know his age when you kind of see him on the ice, right? So it's great. He's a hard-working individual, right? And he takes no shift off. He loves to just give it everything he has, right? So that's truly remarkable.
I think what was I've had the pleasure of getting to know him the last couple of years. What was most surprising to me was his pregame music was Metallica. Because Francois is such a soft-spoken, such a patient, kind man. I never would have figured that Metallica was his go-to
He's just getting ready. That's what pumps him up. That's what inspires him. And you know what? To each their own, but he's definitely a great guy to have in the room.
Well, we're also going to welcome in head coach of Team Canada East, Paul Cairns, here as he joins us as we're coming to you live from Mattamy Athletic Center, getting you set for the 2019 Canadian National Blind Hockey Tournament. And we are previewing Paul's Team Canada East right now. And here's one of my favorite guys in Canadian blind hockey, Joey Cabral. Paul, can you talk to us a little bit about your goaltender here this weekend? And thank you for taking time to join us.
Well, nice to be with you guys. This is an awesome weekend. And I did want to just quickly, before I talk about Joey, say that Francois, he's like a duck on water. Although he may seem calm on the surface, the intensity is unmatched. He is absolutely one of the most intense players that I've ever met. So don't let that demeanor fool you off the ice, because he is one intense competitor.
Good to know.
But Joey Cabral, he's a good friend of mine, and he's had a really good season this year. He's definitely one of the characters in the dressing room. He's one of the guys that everybody's really happy to see when they've been apart from each other for months on end. And one thing that's nice about everybody in this group is even though people have been away from each other for so long, once they get back together, everybody's ready to muck it up with each other again. So, and Joey's definitely one of those guys. And he, first thing he did when I saw him the other day, even though we both live in Toronto, he came and gave me a big hug like he hadn't seen me in 6 months. So it was, it's always nice to be around these guys.
You know, I'm just pulling up, you'll have to excuse me, this is a little more than I'm used to juggling. I'm typically
great,
just
man.
doing
Keep it up.
play-by-play.
You're doing fantastic.
So thank you guys, I appreciate your patience. I'm gonna pull up a graphic here of your full team roster, and I want you to maybe point out maybe some dark horse players that maybe folks who have tuned into over the last few years aren't necessarily familiar with, but you feel could be impact players for your team.
Well, we've got a really deep team. I think that we're pretty solid from top to bottom. There's no doubt about that. But looking at the roster here, I think there's a few familiar names that people have seen for a few years now, like Kelly Serbu and Simone Richard, Mark DeMontis, Wyatt Harvey. These are some guys that have been around in the top level for quite some time now. So those guys are definitely going to be people to look out for. I don't think that there's any doubt. But I always like to take a look at the young ones, and I think that Alec Angus, he's one for sure. He's one that's come all the way through all the ranks in Canadian blind hockey, and he's just getting better every time I see him. He's really growing into himself. He's a big boy, and he's really starting to use that size to his advantage. And then there's young Joe Fornessier, and he's a fantastic young player in Canadian blind hockey, and he's also one who's kind of worked his way up the ranks of blind hockey. And this is his first event playing with the best players in Canadian blind hockey and blind hockey throughout North America. So we'll really get to see what he's made of this weekend and see if he's able to answer the call playing with the big boys and girls here in the select division.
It's going to be pretty exciting to watch the youngster for sure. It's going to be exciting to watch all the games here through all 5 divisions. You know, we asked Luca a little bit about his experience in Pittsburgh. You helped lead Team Canada to that big series win. Can you talk a bit about your experience down in Pittsburgh and what that meant to you to be behind the bench?
Well, for those of that don't know, I'm a teacher, so I teach grade 7 math and science, and before I left for the day today, I made sure that I showed all my students what I got from the last tournament. And I was presented with the game puck, the winning game puck, and I had all the players signed it. So I said to my students, I look forward to showing you the new game-winning puck from this tournament coming up. So no, I'm just kidding, but it means a lot to me being a part of this tournament. It means being in Pittsburgh was amazing. The energy around that group and being a part of history is something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. It was one of the highlights of my hockey career, no doubt. And I just can't wait to see where we continue to grow and how and see other countries grow, because this is an awesome sport, and the celebration and the good feelings and seeing everybody just be a part of something bigger than themselves was really nice, really nice. Yeah.
Paul, I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you taking time, but before I let you go, I gotta get you to assess your opposition here this weekend. What are you expecting when you take on Team Canada West and, of course, Team USA tomorrow at noon in the opening game?
Well, we've got a really nice looking series coming up here, a nice round robin. I mean, USA, I'm sure that they're going to be looking for some redemption after Pittsburgh. I mean, that's got to be a lot of motivation for them to want to continue to get better, and their program is continuing to grow. So I expect them to be a very improved team and a hungry team that really wants to do their nation proud and represent themselves up here. And I think that that's going to be a really good matchup, and I look forward to seeing how they've grown over the last few months. And it's going to be interesting to play Canada West. This is new to us. We've been friends all along, and now we're going to have to put that aside for a few days and make sure that we're doing our best to push each other to the limit, because there's a lot of really good players on Canada West, and I mean, you've got some of the top players in blind hockey that are over there. So we've got our work cut out for us. I think that we're going to be able to we're going to do our best to try and curtail those guys a little bit. But the reality of the situation is a few of those guys are going to get their chances. It's just a matter of us trying to limit their chances and do everything that we can to make life hard on them on the ice, because I know for sure that the few of them are going to make life hard on us out there, because there's some talented players on that team.
I said I was going to let you go, but I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't ask this question. Coming in from our live chat thread from Cam Jenkins from AMI. Big shout out to AMI, one of our presenting partners here this weekend. He asked, Paul, being a teacher, do you find that you're a teacher on the ice as well?
I think that, yeah, I am. I think it's hard to take that hat off, especially when you're coaching. It's something that you're constantly doing. I mean, a lot of the skills that I've developed and learned over the years as a teacher are very transferable over to coaching. I mean, a lot of these players learn in different ways, and it's the same thing in a classroom. You got students that learn in a variety of different ways, so you've got to be willing to tackle the same problem with many different approaches. So I think how you address each player and how you treat each player one-on-one is going to be different. Some players respond differently. Some players you got to pull them aside one-on-one, and other players, they need to be called out in front of the group, and it's just it's different for every player, and I think it's a tricky balance. I think it's not something that I've certainly perfected. It's something that you've got to continue to work on over time, but I think it's just a key part is just listening as well, and just making sure that you're available to the players, and just listening to their needs is a big thing as well. Just like in the classroom, every kid has different needs, and just trying to make things as easy for them to grasp as possible so that they can pick it up quickly. But yeah, to answer the question, I think that a lot of those skills are very transferable. Good question.
Yeah, Cam, thank you for the question. Paul, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. I know you got things to do, so we'll let you go.
I've always got time for you, Nico. Come on.
You're a beauty, Paul, and I
anytime.
appreciate it.
All right.
Best of luck this
All
weekend.
right. Thanks to all the listeners. Take care and enjoy watching the hockey this weekend.
Well, so we'll continue to preview the Select Series here as Luca takes the mic back from Paul, and we'll pull up that Select Series schedule one more time so you can get a sense of the upcoming games. Lucas, some pretty exciting stuff there, having Coach Paul join us, and I think he's got a pretty good team on the ice for this weekend.
I think we have 3 good teams that could be on the ice this weekend, right? So, yeah, you know what? Coach Paul and myself, we've got a very good relationship. It goes back a long time. So, definitely, he's the man for the job. When it comes to leading this team to gold, there was no other name I could think of, right? His playing career was incredible. You know, he attended RPI and the NCAA and played with some great players over there. And, you know, I'm sure he doesn't like talking about it, but he didn't have to go become a teacher. He could have continued and played, you know, pro, but he's a teacher. He's a man that teaches on and off the ice. He teaches me, and he's younger than me, right? So it's funny, but he's a great guy, and he's somebody that has helped grow to where we are today. So he definitely gets a lot of the credit for that.
Well, speaking of a family that's helped grow to get where we are today, and a really good guy, Joseph Del Grande.
Look at that beard on
family.
him.
What a beauty.
Oh, my God. He's something else.
He really is.
He's an incredible individual. You know what I mean? Like, he is so passionate about the sport, but he's just so family-oriented.
Yes.
I won't mention his age.
Well, we got to talk about what happened in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that was incredible. You know,
moment.
and hey, I don't want to kind of put them on the spot, but you know, his family surprised him.
Yeah.
Right? It was a hard secret to keep. I'll tell you that. It was very hard for me to keep that secret, and you know, I've like to think I've developed a great relationship with his family, and his sons are incredible volunteers for us. They've helped us drastically, and they continue to help. But Joseph Del Grande, as the boys like to call him, Skippy, he's something else. He's a great guy to have, and his heart is just so big, right? And he gets the love from everybody across this country because of what he does, right? He opens up his arms, and he opens up himself for you, and he's a great individual.
Well, he was the Team Canada captain in Pittsburgh, and he's certainly going to be a big part of Team Canada East here this weekend as we take a moment to look at Kelly Serbu, as he likes to say, the 3rd best hockey player to come out of Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia.
You know what? I'll give him that. But we were at a little a school presentation the other day, and I don't know where this kid goes. What about Al McInnes?
Really?
I didn't know Al McInnes was
That's
even
impressive.
from there, right? And
Yeah.
then we were like, no. Kelly Serbu, right? But hey, Kelly is an incredible guy, right? He puts his team first. I've known Kelly now for, I'll say, 4 or 5 years, and he's a great player. He's got so much skill on that ice. But the one thing that I truly like watching Kelly for is he makes everyone better around him. When you play with someone with that skill, you kind of have to elevate your game. But you don't have to elevate it too much because Kelly will come and make sure you're there with him. Sure. Right? So he's a great leader on and off the ice. The boys love him. He's just a great guy.
Speaking of leaders on and off the ice, this is a special guy to you. I mean, a special guy to everybody in the Canadian blind hockey community. Mark DeMontis, as well, I've been lucky to get to know him and to call you guys friends. And you guys are like brothers in a lot of ways.
Oh, that means so much. And, it's the same feeling we got for you, bud. Trust me. Well, I don't even know what I could say about this guy. Like for real. Like I could go on, but you know what? He deserves every bit of credit. You know what I mean? Like it was tough. Like the family dynamic when Mark was diagnosed with LHON.
Yeah.
It was tough for the family, right? But we're a very close family. So as you know what I mean. You're always welcome for Sunday night pasta dinner at the DeMontis household. You know what I mean?
Which I always appreciate. It's always amazing.
Between Big Mass cooking up a storm in the kitchen, but definitely Mark has kind of put this on such a level now because of his passion for the game, right? At 17, I could never understand. I would never be able to grasp what happened to my brother. But you know what? He said, we're going to start something for the youth. So now I'm honored to say it's our 10-year anniversary in June of Courage Canada, what has evolved into Canadian Blind Hockey, and to now see how many youth we got on the ice and to see a new children and youth division. I know he's thrilled about that. So his legacy is long lasting. But at the end of the day, he's a player, right? He wears number 9. I think one of the coolest things Mark has, and he'll probably preach about it, is that Mark scored the first ever goal for Team Canada in Pittsburgh, right?
Which I really wanted to put down as the interesting fact, but I felt like Zealburgers was more...
Oh, yeah, Zealburgers, you can find Mark there for sure. If you're in Weston and pass by Zealburgers, he's...
that was an incredible moment when he scored the first
it was
ever goal.
it was like...
in a lot of ways.
Like, I don't think you could write a better story,
Yeah.
right? And, his first shift, he gets out there, he lets a rocket go, and he just shoots wide. And typical Mark, misses the net just by a couple inches.
Yep.
Then he goes behind the net, sets up shop, looks a little bit like pretty iconic Leaf I like to call Dougie, and he just pulled off this wraparound, and history was made.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. It was great. It was incredible.
I often wonder if he realizes how many lives he's touched, because Mark is such a motivated and such a focused guy that I feel like he's always pushing forward, and I wonder if he really truly knows the impact that he's made on the number of lives that he's touched.
You bring up a great comment there. I don't think he does, but I think when it comes to this weekend, he gets to see it. Right, and it's the worst terminology to use.
Right.
But he's got people that are coming up, and they're just shaking his hand and they're thanking him. And Mark he's on it, he's on the ride, right? And he's a great guy to have. It's weird when not too many people can say their little brother's their role model, but hey, I could say that because it's true.
Right.
But he's a player. He just wants to play in this community. He wants to just give his best game forward.
Well, we continue to look through the Team Canada East roster, and we take a moment to highlight Simone Richard, who is an incredible leader on and off the ice, but he's also one of the few guys in our program who's gotten to the penultimate level. He's represented Canada at the Paralympics, and I know for him, he wants to be able to do that again in the sport of blind hockey.
He does, and his drive is immaculate. I'll tell you that. Simone Richard is a true professional. From the way he prepares for games to his rest, his preparation, it's unparalleled. You know what I mean? And Simone brings us a level of professionalism by achieving our goal one day of becoming a Paralympic sport, right? And he's attended Rio in 2016. He knows what it takes to get there. And I like to think we are going to get there. And when we get there, we need someone to help us to understand the ins and outs, right? And he'll definitely be that individual that helps us.
We continue to look on through the Team Canada East roster, and we focus now on Wyatt Harvey, the Peterborough, Ontario native, who, as much as I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years, I never knew he was a stock car driver while he was legally blind. That is incredible.
I didn't know that either, but you know what? I'd get in a car with him.
And it speaks to his personality in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, for sure. Wyatt goes 100% on and off the ice. You know what I mean? His great skill level, and he's a good thing about Wyatt also is he's what you call a 200-foot player. Right. He could play defense for you. He could play forward. He just wants to play at the end of the day, right? So he's a great kid. You know, I got to spend a lot of time with Wyatt as he is a Toronto Ice Owl, and he's come out to a lot of our youth programs and just been there to kind of help the kids any way he can.
The youngest player in the Select Series, and somebody I know we feel has a very bright future, and I think we feel fortunate that we've got him in our program. Joe Fernazier is he's 15 years old, and he's the youngest player in the Select Series. It speaks to the growth that he's accomplished.
Yeah, and this is Joe's second tournament. So it's not like he's been playing for a long time, right? He's new to the sport. He's attended, you know what, I'll actually say, I believe he's attended every event last year in Canadian Blind Hockey. So yeah, he loves the sport. You know what I mean? He's somebody that I like to think can be the future, right? His skill level is great, and he's somebody that you should definitely watch this weekend, because I know he's excited, and I definitely, I'll go and tell you a little story. Yeah. I actually called him a couple minutes before we announced the teams, and I thought it was just something that is special to do, because I know that it's something he's wanted, right? So at 15 years old, you know, he's got the exceptional status, and he's going to create some magic. It's going to be interesting. Like, I guess Coach Paul really didn't allude on it, but, like, who's going to play with who? Yeah. Right? So I know he's excited to play with anybody on that team, right? And he mentioned that, and he thanked us about 10 times on the phone, so he's a great kid.
Well, and he's our first exceptional status player, is he not?
He is the first, you know, yeah.
So pretty impressive there, a special moment. As we continue to look through the Team Canada East roster, these are all new additions, hence why we don't have their profile pictures yet, but we had a look at Julien Blaise Savoie's profile.
Great player
out of Quebec.
Another 200-foot player.
Exactly.
You know what you're getting from him, right? He's a hard worker, 200 feet, conquers the ice, and he's another player like Wyatt. You could put him on forward and defense, and you know they'll get the job done.
Totally. We have a look at Rick Oriold, one of the veterans on the team, and a player who's got the ability to put the puck in the net almost at will.
For sure. And you know what? I never would have thought that his favorite player would have been Nazem Kadri, but hey. Who doesn't like Kadri?
He's got a bit of Kadri in his game, I think.
He does, and he's another good player, and I'm excited to see the level of intensity he's going to bring this weekend.
Well, we got the two St. Dennis brothers we got to have a look at. First, we get Gary, and of course, we have Wayne as well, and it's great to see that tandem of Gary and Wayne make Team Canada.
And who would have thought they'd be sitting next to each other in the change room? You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to see a couple brothers together. But you know what? They're excited to be together, and they're excited to play on the same team.
And last but certainly not least, the backup goaltender. Does he know he's backup goaltender? Is this a spoiler alert moment?
He knows. He knows. Yeah, we've spoken. You know, he's someone that's like, hey, I'll do whatever I got to do. Totally. You know what I mean? And he's a great guy. And you know what? I think it's cool to see how close the Ice Owls are, right? And he's like the Papa Owl, so definitely.
There is your Team Canada East roster, and it should be a great squad as they get set to hit the ice tomorrow at noon for their game against Team USA. You're having a look back there. Are you doing some scouting for Team Canada West?
You know what? I'm just watching this right now. Like, you know, Coach Jeff Street has got a great practice that's going on right now. The defense are working on one end. You got Yeehaw Yuha taking some shots on Lauren Weber on the other end, so that's pretty good. And it's exciting. Like, a lot of these players are thrilled right now. And you know what I mean? Like, I like to think we create and we help make hockey accessible for the blind and partially sighted. But these players they're doing they're doing it all, right? We're just helping, but they're the ones that are creating the stories, creating the memories, and creating the legacy of the sport, right? So we've got a great group both on Canada East, Canada West that are going to represent Canadian blind hockey with pride, and they're going to work hard.
Well, here we get a look at the Team Canada West roster for the upcoming Select Series, and lots of skill on this team, lots of speed as well. It'll be very interesting to watch how the coaches deploy their units and how they try form chemistry here over these 3 days. And I think that's a challenge that is often understated at this type of event. You're playing a lot of hockey in a short time period. The coaches are really under pressure here to try find the chemistry as quick as they can.
The good thing about that, on both East and West, a lot of these players play their club hockey together, right? So you look at a West roster right now, we're looking at some guys like a Mark Bentz, a Heaslip, a Scott Roberts, right? Anthony Chula. Those are members of the Vancouver Eclipse, you know what I mean? So they're very familiar with one another, right? And even on East, when you got Mark DeMontis, Wyatt Harvey, Joe Fernazier, you know, the St. Denis brothers, Joey Cabral, a lot of Ice Owl players. So these guys are excited. They're really going to answer the call. So that's cool.
You get a look at Anthony Chula. We'll try speed through a little quicker here because we still have to get through Team Canada West, Team USA, and then I know you've got a meeting in a little bit from now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to watch the clock. But yeah, we just spoke about Anthony Chula. He was so great down in Pittsburgh.
Well, he created some magic with Yuha, right?
Yeah.
They were dynamite together with Joseph Del Grande. So Del Grande's not playing on Team Canada West. So we'll see who they could slot in there, and who knows what Jeff Street does. Does he put them together? Does he have them centering two different lines? That's up to the coach at that point. But he's a great player.
We get a look at Gilles Ouellette, who also scored down in Pittsburgh, and he was so excited when he got his first of that series.
For a guy that's a fan of the Montreal Canadiens, I feel like Max Domi is a little bit out of his era. Like, he's probably been able to watch some legends play in that uniform. But, hey, Max Domi, great player, and he's having quite the year out there also in Montreal.
You know, I heard an interesting stat about Max today, actually. I think it was he's got points in his last 10 games, but he's only scored points in 10 points over 10 games, but the 10 points only came in 4 games. So they're saying, which Max Domi are you going to get? Are you going to get the guy that shows up or the guy that doesn't show up? I know with Gilles, that's never a problem.
Well, you know what? That's a perfect segue into the next guy. I think he's got 10 points in one game, you know, as we lead up to now Jason Yuha, who, and when you're talking about skill, this man's skill is something that's a pleasure to watch, right? Like, I'll go on a limb. I'd like this guy to be my winger in my men's league team, right? But it's funny. His favorite player is Connor McDavid. I'm sure if Connor McDavid ever watched him play, his favorite player would be Jason Yuha, right? So they got a lot of very similar skills, speed, and you get a testament, Nico. You really coined that phrase, yeehaw Yuha. So I'm waiting for my yeehaw Yuha T-shirt.
Yeah, we got to get on that. That's a good point. You guys are all over the swag.
But he's incredible. Wow.
Well, you know, it's interesting with Jay. I was talking to his dad a little bit earlier tonight, and I always say this about Jason because right now he's the best blind hockey player on the planet. But I qualify that with that we know of, because there may be somebody better out there that we've yet to discover.
I hope there is somebody out there that could really push him, because I don't think we've seen where he can get to yet.
Well, and that's it, right? Like, he's elevated his game for sure over the little bit of time that we've gotten to know him.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting when someone, Kelly, I think, pushes him in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they do.
But I think when there's a clear somebody who's really better than Jay, I think that'll really help push him forward.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be an exciting day when we find that player.
For
but for now, yeehaw, Yuha, certainly the best in the world. Speaking of one of the best in the world, one of my best friends around here and one of the best goaltenders, Lauren Weber, coming out of Edmonton, Alberta. He's done such a great job helping to grow the program. Last year, he appeared on Sportsnet with Gene Principe to do a segment about growing blind hockey. I mean, how good is this guy? He's
incredible. Right, he definitely is a great spokesperson for us, and I think it's a testament to all the players in our community. They are all role models on and off the ice, and they all do their share to make sure that they're kind of marketing the sport and really representing it well.
We move from Lauren Weber to Mark Bentz, who had a roll down in Pittsburgh. It just wasn't quite on the ice. However, here this weekend, he will be on the ice for Team Canada West.
Yeah, he was part of our staff in Pittsburgh, and he's just a great guy. You know what? His level of motivation really inspired the team, and he's a great guy to have around. And you know what? He's met Tony Robbins. You can see that right there. So I guess I know where the motivational part comes from.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Bentz is a great guy, and you're going to see him holding the blue line. And he actually played for me at Westerns, and he scored a beauty of a goal from the point. So I'm looking forward to see that happen again. I told him, shoot the puck, man. You can't score goals if you don't shoot the puck. And you know, he's gonna have some fun.
We move on to Sean Dale, who hails from Brantford, Ontario, but he'll be playing for Team Canada West. And this guy's such a good man on and off the ice, and his leadership qualities really come through in a lot of ways.
I've got to learn a lot about Sean Dale this year. Sean Dale has been influential in helping grow our new program at W. Ross. So we've partnered with W. Ross McDonald, and we have a blind hockey program that takes part monthly. And you know, Sean Dale has really been there spearheading that program, and he's a great guy. The kids love him. He's a role model to every kid in that school. I'll never forget the first time we ran the program. He came out in his Team Canada jersey and his gold medal, and the kids just all wanted to hold that medal. And when you, like, sitting in my shoes, when I see a kid that's in grade 9 holding that medal, saying, I want to win one of these, it's all right, let's get on the ice, let's get to work. And we did. And you know what? It's cool because we've got about 8 players coming from W. Ross to take part in Children and Youth Division. So the program's growing, the kids love it, and I love getting out there because it's a great group.
We move on to Scott Roberts from Vancouver, and I mean, this guy is a
Is that a typo? Did he forget that he lives in Vancouver, but he's a Maple Leafs fan?
I know, that was shocking to me.
Yeah.
Yet his favorite player is Gino Ojic, a classic Canuck. I mean,
Scott Roberts.
Like his game on the ice, he can often be all over the place, in a good way.
Scott Roberts. It's, you know, he's a funny kid.
He is.
He's a character in the room. You know, Paul was talking about Joey Cabral in the room. Scott Roberts, he's the same. He's the same. So, you know, both East and West will have some characters in the room that are going to make it a fun weekend for the boys. And that's what it's all about, right? That camaraderie is unparalleled, and he's a funny guy to have around.
We move on to Brian Cowie, one of the new additions here, joining Team Canada West for this series. And he'll have his son, Sean, helping out throughout the tournament as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Sean's a great volunteer. Actually, Sean's in the Canadian Blind Hockey Hall of Fame under the volunteer category. He was inducted in last year, so it's great. And you know what? They're a wonderful family.
We check out Kiefer Jones, a dual sport athlete. Not only is he great at hockey, he's a pretty accomplished golfer as well.
When you could put world champion next to your name, I think you're good at that. Yeah, and he's a great golfer. He sure is.
Marty Dufour from Saint-Hubert, Quebec. Great chicken. Saint-Hubert, I don't know if you had it.
Yeah. Once or twice.
Yeah. What was amazing to me was his board game collection. Over 200 board
I'm going to ask him if he wants to play a game of chess later.
Careful, he might hustle you there.
Probably will.
We check out Paul Schmold as well.
Paul Schmold from Edmonton.
I'm going to assume he's playing on the blue line this weekend for Canada West.
Of course. And Paul Schmold's just a great guy, another individual that's part of this community that has grown and taken on a role that it's good to see him out there, right? It's good to see him being selected to this team. He's worked very hard over the last couple of years, so he's very deserving of his spot on this team.
We take a look at Sean Heslip as well, and he's made some really good progression in his game over the last year. Nice nod for him to make the team.
Sean loves to learn.
Yeah.
He's constantly learning every practice, every game, and we get questions, how can I get better? And that's all a coach wants, right? I know both Jeff Street and Paul Cairns, they feel the world of him, right? And he's a great player.
Wade Shepard as well, who had a great Western Regional tournament playing alongside Jason Yuha, and he's got such an incredible story. We'll have to highlight Wade a little bit throughout the weekend in terms of the adversity he's overcome throughout his life.
For sure. And he's someone that, you know, he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? He like, I'm turning around right now and I'm watching this practice and he's giving it out there, and that's what you want to see.
And the backup goaltender for Team Canada West, He'll also be playing in the Open Division, Justin Wack. So there is your Team Canada West roster. As we get one more look at the complete roster. So between the two Team Canadas, I think they're pretty well matched. Do you have any kind of hunch as to who might come ahead here this weekend?
No, I've got no hunch at all. I am not going to say anything on that memo. But yeah, we've got two great teams, East, West, a great group of guys on and off the ice. They're going to represent Canadian Blind Hockey well, and I'm excited. It's going to be a fun weekend.
It's going to be an incredible weekend here as we're going to take a quick look at the Team USA roster as well. Just trying to locate some of my graphics here. You know, the challenge with doing all these graphics is you end up with this super long list, and I thought I had organized it really well.
It's pretty organized to me. You're doing great, man. I think this is cool, though, what we were doing tonight. You know what I mean? It's something new. So we're experimenting with it, but I think it's great to just have the content and people to tune in. So everybody that's tuning in, thank you very much, and hope you're having a fun time. If there's any questions you want to ask, feel free to ask away, and we'll try to answer them to our best of our ability.
We're going to be streaming here live from the Mattamy Athletic Center all weekend long. Action gets underway with the opening ceremonies tomorrow at 11:45 a.m. Eastern.
So I'm not sure if you heard, but there's a special guest coming to tomorrow's.
I wasn't sure if we could break that news or not. So why don't you tell the audience about that?
Well, you know, it's we figure we're in this building, so there's a couple players that will be alumni who will be showing up throughout the weekend. But definitely, it's incredible to have Wendell Clark here tomorrow to drop the puck at their opening ceremonies. And you know, I know myself, and I know you're a big Leafs fan also. So. I definitely grew up in the Wendell Clark era. I know myself and Matt Morrow, we went to a couple schools this week just to speak about the event to some classes that are coming. We're going to have over 500 people in tomorrow's game, and that's the biggest crowd ever, right? Yeah. And when Matt actually said to them, we've got Wendell Clark coming, we realized how old we actually are. None of the kids, except for one, put up his hand.
Come on.
Yeah, so
oh my goodness.
It's
wow, you just made me feel.
Well, you know, me too. But you know, these kids right now, they're looking up to Mitch Marner, right? Yeah. They're looking up to Austin Matthews, and two great players to look up to for the young generation, right? But I'm a little bit, I'm a big fan of Wendell and Doug Gilmore, so it's cool.
Well, we have a look at Team USA, and we'll start with Anthony Chesro, one of the top players for Team USA, and he really impressed, I thought, down in Pittsburgh. I think it's safe to say he was probably one of their top 3 players in that tournament.
Definitely. And for myself, that was the first time I ever actually saw him play.
Right.
So he's got a lot of skill. He's definitely one of the backbones of this team. And I'm excited to watch him this weekend. I'm excited to watch this whole team, Team USA this weekend. You know, we saw them play in October, and a few months down the road, I'm looking to see who's developing and who's improving, right?
Blake Steinica, who comes from San Marcos, California, but we all know him as the kid from San Diego, and we're so happy to have him
he
back
looks like
again.
a beach boy to me, but he's a great kid, another great family, and he's going to be the future for this American team.
Well, I think we may have to convince his father, Bill, to come on the broadcast at some point as well.
I'm sure he'd come on over.
Speaking of great families and incredible players, Christine the Scoring Machine Vantarini back again for Team USA.
Yeah, back in Toronto, where she's created a lot of magic over the years here, right?
Absolutely. That's where the magic happened for the Scoring Machine, and it'll be interesting to see her roll on the ice here this weekend for Team USA. As we transition into Daniel Belding, who has really helped get the program running in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible, again, the work that his family, his wife, his whole extended family behind the scenes has been doing.
That's great. That's needed, right? It's a team game, and not one person is going to help and grow these programs. You really need everybody on board, everybody accepting the same mission.
Dirk Morgan, the next player from Team USA, wearing number 8. His favorite player was Cam Neely Seabass of the Boston Bruins, who also wore number 8.
I wonder if that's why he wears number 8.
That's exactly why he does, and I know for Dirk it's very special that he gets. This was the first time in his life that he got to wear number 8 on a hockey team, and he feels very special to do it for Team USA.
That's good to hear.
So a nice moment here for Dirk Morgan as we continue to go through Team USA, and we'll have a look at one of their goaltenders, Doug Goist, a big body between the posts.
He's tall.
Yeah.
He's very tall. Like he's and you know what? He has a great butterfly. All right, and in goaltending, when it comes to blind hockey, you really want to make yourself as big as possible because, as you know, one of our adaptations is we took off the top foot of the net.
Right.
So it's only 3 feet high, right?
That's right.
And I feel like his waist is still at that point when he's in his butterfly, but he's definitely come a long way.
We move on to John Guzik, one of the forwards for Team USA. He had limited ice time in Pittsburgh, but I think he'll be hoping to get some more shifts here this weekend. Speaking of great hockey families, Keith Haley from Team USA. I had a chance to bump into Keith and his father as they were getting to the hotel, and I know they were really excited for this weekend here.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, representing the Connecticut Brailers.
Yeah.
Move on to Kevin Brown, one of 2 B1 defensemen playing for Team USA.
That's incredible.
For folks who maybe don't know about the classifications, can you quickly tell us the difference between
For sure.
B1 and
Definitely.
B2, B3?
Yeah, well, in international blind sports, it falls under 3 classifications, B3, B2, and B1. B1s will wear a red helmet, and they've got 0% vision. So they can't see anything. They're totally, completely blind, right? So for a guy like Kevin Brown to be wearing that red helmet and to be manning the blue line, a lot of courage and big testament to him out there.
Here's the other B1 defenseman on Team USA, and a big part of the growth of blind hockey south of the border, Kevin Shanley.
Yeah, huge responsible individual for helping grow it as much as it has and how quick that it has grown.
I know you've got your Team Canada meeting. Whenever you need to duck out, you just tell me. And
Yeah, for sure. I'll get out of here in a couple minutes.
No
Don't worry.
problem at
We're
all.
good right now.
As we move on to Luke Miller, one of the 2 Miller brothers coming out of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, part of the Chicago Blackhawks blind hockey program, and it's been pretty amazing to see the way that the NHL Chicago Blackhawks have taken to that blind
Yeah,
hockey program.
no,
and
definitely.
supported it.
A lot of the teams in America have taken kind of and helped out, so that's good to see.
Mark DeFlorio, who helped launch the Seattle blind hockey program, our next spotlight player, wearing number 17 for Team USA. As we move on to the other Miller brother, Matthew Miller. It's great to meet a number of these people for the first time down in Pittsburgh. We had heard so much about Team USA, and obviously we'd gotten to know a few players throughout the years who had been coming up here, but really for the first time we got to meet a good portion of that team, including the Miller brothers. And here, one of my favorite guys, Mike Straub, one of the goaltenders for Team USA. He's just a really good salt-of-the-earth guy.
Nice. You know, and you could tell hockey runs in the blood there. I never even knew his son played in the AHL, so that's great.
Yeah, pretty cool story there. He played a few seasons for a few different teams, and hockey a big part of that family. And when Mike lost his vision, I know it was difficult for the family, but he said, you know, we just got to keep pushing forward. Hockey's a big part of us. That's not going to change. And eventually, there he is playing for Team USA. Well, one of the top players for Team USA to watch here this weekend, their captain, Tim Kane. And he is such an explosive player for Team USA.
He's a threat out there. When he's on the ice, he's a threat. You have to always know where he is on the ice, and he's a great player.
Last and certainly not least, one of our favorites, Victoria Vantarini McDermott, the sister of Christine, the scoring machine Vantarini, both Rangers fans. And once again, great to have that whole family up here for this weekend.
For sure.
So that is your Team USA roster. As we'll give you one more look at the Select Series schedule. We've got 5 different divisions going on here this weekend. We've got the children's division. What age are the kids in that division, Luca?
Our youngest is 3.
Yep.
And the
That's
oldest,
Owen, right? Little
Owen is 3 years old. Yeah, we got Owen 3, Mason 4. So the future's in good hands with those boys. And we'll go all the way from 3 years old. I believe the oldest in that group is 9.
Awesome.
And then in the youth division, our youngest is 9, and they'll go all the way up to about 16, 17.
So here you get a look at the children's division schedule. For the children and youth division, we'll be broadcasting select games over the weekend. I can tell you we will definitely be doing the children's Saturday game. However, the time on that is incorrect. I apologize. I think it's actually around 4 p.m., so I'll have to change that for tomorrow. But here you get a look at the youth division schedule as well. 2 exciting divisions there. We'll have a look at the low vision and development schedule for the weekend. And there's going to be some interesting adaptations to that division this year that I think will really help improve the quality of play.
I think it's not only going to help improve the quality of play, but I think we couldn't find 2 better sighted players to add to these games, right? So it's going to be different, but you know, with Matt Morrow on one team and Paul Cairns on the other team, I think the players that are playing in the low vision division are going to get they're going to get a special experience. You know, they're going to have a lot of fun, and they're going to have a couple of great players setting them up.
And of course, we get the open division schedule as well. There's going to be some great hockey played in the open division, which features both men and women of all ages in that division. So that'll be very exciting.
Well, we've got men and women in every division.
Yeah.
Every division. This is a co-ed sport, right? And the girls could chirp with the best of them. So definitely, it's a co-ed sport, and everyone's welcome.
Well, we're going to wrap up shortly here as Team USA gets set to take the ice for their practice. Just going through, you know, one of the, I think, important things that we need to talk about are the people and the groups that help make this possible. And Luke, I know you got to get going, so I'll take the ball with that. But hey, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thanks for having us. Definitely, everybody tune in this weekend. If you're in the Toronto area, come on down and witness history live.
And before I let you go, if folks want to get involved, how can they contact you or Matt to do so?
You can definitely go onto our website, www.canadianblindhockey.com. You could email either one of us, and we always love having either new players or new volunteers, and just any way that we could help grow this sport.
Luca, thank you so much for your time here.
No problem, Nico. Thanks for having me, and let's have a great weekend. Let's create a lot of memories, and let's just keep promoting the sport. Let's promote it as best as we can across the world. And you know, anytime Canada and USA are on the ice, you got to know that Russia, Sweden, and Finland are tuning in and watching, and we hope they are, because I think those are countries that could really find a love for this sport.
Absolutely. We want to get the 4 nations, we want to get a world championship, and we want to get to the Paralympics. We're going to need that international momentum to continue. So the challenge is out there to all those nations.
Perfect. And thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you.
I'm off to another meeting, and wouldn't have it any other way.
One of the hardest working guys here.
No, not at all. Thank you,
so
Nico,
much,
very much, buddy.
Well, we'll let Luca go, and we'll get pretty much set to wrap things up here as Team Canada will have a meeting here. Team USA gets set to take the ice for their practice time, as I just take a moment here to talk about some of the sponsors that have helped make this incredible weekend possible. And we really do need to start with our presenting sponsors, AMI and the CNIB Foundation. These are 2 partners that have continued to help the growth of Canadian blind hockey across our great nation. And without their support, it would be so much more difficult to get to where we want to be. These are our presenting sponsors here this weekend, and we're so grateful to once again have AMI on board. Of course, we'll be simulcasting the broadcast through AMI audio, so you can tune in through Accessible Media Inc. audio for a radio stream as we get our web stream going through Canadian Blind Hockey YouTube. And of course, we want to thank AMI and CNIB for their incredible work supporting Canadian blind hockey. But it's not just AMI and CNIB. There are a number of partners who have helped make this weekend possible. As we get a look at some of our great sponsors here, including the Mattamy Athletic Center and Ryerson University. And we want to thank them once again for their partnership here and hosting us this weekend. And of course, a number of other sponsors who have helped make this weekend possible, including the Washington Kids Foundation, Del Grande Homes, and Zito's Marketplace. And of course, the Holiday Inn, where we're staying for the next few days. Thank you so much for your continued support of Canadian blind hockey. Well, folks, it's been a pretty exciting hour. I can't believe the hour has gone by that quickly. You know, I figured we may be struggling to fill at times, but me and Luca and blind hockey, I mean, we could probably go all night here, but I'm sitting here alone now. I've got Bill Steinica standing by. I'm so tempted to pull him in right now. He's shaking his head no. We'll get him in at some point over the weekend. Bill helping me out in Pittsburgh, doing a great job on the broadcast here. But that's pretty much going to wrap up this live preview show. Folks, I want to thank you so much for tuning in as Team USA now hitting the ice down behind me for their practice. We want to wish all the teams participating here this weekend the best of luck. Of course, for more information, for the full tournament schedule, check out CanadianBlindHockey.com. Make sure you smash that subscribe button on our YouTube page so you don't miss any of the broadcasts this weekend. It's going to be a great weekend of hockey action here from the Mattamy Athletic Center. As we'll put up the select series schedule one more time. We get underway tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the opening ceremonies, and then the puck drops at 12 noon when Team Canada East takes on Team USA. We've got our special guest, Wendell Clark, coming to drop the puck for that. Yeah, Wendell Clark will be in the house dropping the puck pregame at 12 noon tomorrow. If you're in the Toronto area, get on down here to the Mattamy Athletic Center. It's going to be a great day of hockey action, a great weekend. We've got over 600 local school kids coming out. It's going to be an incredible day tomorrow, so make sure you get down here. But if you can't, we will be streaming live on YouTube. Hey, for Matt Morrow, for Luca DeMontis, my name is Nico Cardarelli. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. I want to start the broadcast tomorrow right now. We've got a great weekend of hockey action coming up. Make sure you tune in, CanadianBlindHockey.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're streaming all the games there live on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to call it a night here. I think we've worked pretty hard. We deserve to relax a little bit now. Make sure you tune in for all the great action coming up here this weekend. Once again, for Matt Morrow, for Luca DeMontis, on behalf of Canadian Blind Hockey, my name's Nico Cardarelli. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon.